How are you guys? I hope you're alright. If you're new and you don't know me, my name is Clara and I'm the owner of this channel, The Ink Path. Today I wanted to do something different, something very quick and funny, and something that allow me to reflect on the amount of actual books that I have read so far. So I have decided to actually sit down and do the mid-year freak out book tag, which is very appropriate now because we are on the half of the year and it's the first time I actually can do it on time. So let's start. Okay, so for those who don't know, this book tag is specifically, as I said, reflecting on the books that you have read so far and also on the ones that you want to read up to the end of the year. This is a set of questions that allows you to think about those readings. And what I'm going to do is to prepare the Goodreads challenge page so I can actually see how many books I have actually read so far. So, with Goodreads open to check what I have read so far, this is the questions. The first question says, best book you've read so far in 2020. Let me just check. I think that of all the 28 books that I've read so far, I've read so many good things, but I believe that the best book at the moment is A Thousand Ships by Natalie Hines. I don't have it physically with me because this was an art provided by NetGalley, so I'm going to be posting all the covers so you can actually see the books in particular that let me just switch this off, that am mentioning, so you can actually look for them if you need them. But I think this retelling of the Iliad is actually the best book in terms of storytelling and craft that I have read so far in 2020. The second question says, best sequel you've read so far in the year in 2020. I think I haven't read any sequels, but let me just double check. Yep, I haven't read any sequels this year so far. The next question says, a book that you want to read but you haven't been able to read in the year. I'm going to read it properly. New release that you haven't read yet but you want to. A new release that I want to read very, very much, but I haven't got the chance yet, although I have it on my TBR. It's actually Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I think it's her name. I know that everyone has read it, I know that everyone has loved it. I bought it in as soon as I actually could pick the actual Spanish copy of it, but I haven't read it yet. The fourth question is the most anticipated release of the second half of the year, which is obviously The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. V.E. Schwab is one of my favorite authors, and I've been following this story for as long as I know her. I know it's another book about a girl that makes a deal with the devil. With the devil. So anyone that she meets actually forgets her, but there's a boy in all the life that she lives, because this deal that she makes with the devil is to be immortal, so she doesn't grow old. In all this year that she lives, all the people that she meets ends up forgetting her, but one boy. So I want to know how it develops. So that's my most anticipated. The next question says, biggest disappointment of the year. And I think that for me the biggest disappointment of this year is actually the book I'm reading at the moment, that I hope I can finish this evening, which is a book that I was hoping to love, because of the topic and because of the author, who is one of my favorite authors, but it didn't click for me, and that's The Lessons by Naomi Alderman. This is a story of friendship gone wrong that is supposed to be part of the dark academia subgenre of the thriller, but it doesn't seem like that to me, and I was hoping to love it because I have read The Power by the same author and I adore it, but it's not working, and I have 3 chapters left and I don't think it's going to save it for me. The next question I'm going to answer is actually the easiest of the tag, which is the biggest surprise. The biggest surprise of the year for me was Me by Elton John, which is an autobiography of the writer that reflects on his life and how he started actually his career and how his life went on from being a child to now. And I listened to this on audiobook after watching the film, after watching Rocketman, which is a film that I adored. But I was like looking for more, or I wanted to know more about it, and in my English library I found the audiobook format of the book, as I said, and I was a little bit scared because I've never read any biographies or autobiographies before, and I always tend to think that it's going to be very kind of slow and maybe boring and that I will not understand. However, I love it. I completely love it because this was read by Elton John himself, and also the biggest part of the book were read by the author by the actor who portrayed him in the film. So to me this was like an expanse of the film in a way, and I actually adore it. I think I was scared of having this window to someone else's life, this window that was going to be always a little bit biased because someone is telling his life. So that's, you normally colored all the things that you don't like of yourself, so you look more nice, I guess, nicer. But this was not the case. I feel like, in a way, Elton John was speaking to me and being honest about certain elements of his life, those who he didn't like at all, maybe to allow you to understand how he is and why he behaved like that in certain parts of his life. I don't know. I feel like I was very amazed by it. It was a very difficult book to read at times. I cried with this book. I laughed. The next one says favorite new author, debut author or new to you. I think I'm going to go with for not repeating, although I feel I'm going to repeat myself in this. I think I'm going to go with the first book that I read, which was Enchantee by Gita Trellis. I'm not sure if it's written like that. I adored this book. I gave it 5 stars. I think it's the kind of most fulfilling start of a reading year that I had. In this story, Gita actually allows us to see the pre-revolutionary Paris and understand some of the historical events that lead to the revolution through Camille's eyes. Camille is a poor woman who has the ability of enchanting objects, of making this kind of visual tricks, and she is very, very poor, and she has to maintain her brother and her sister, but she managed to get into the Versailles court pretending to be a countess. I don't remember exactly the title, but she uses her magic to infiltrating the court in thought that she was going to be able to, gain some money and then run away. But the things get a little bit more complicated when the streets start to revolt, and I adore how Gita is able to explore without being info-dumping the historical facts and give it you this intriguing, slow pace, full of magic, very well crafted story. And I adore her, and I think I will continue buying her books, of course. This is part, I'm not sure if it's a trilogy, a saga, or what, but it's going to have a sequel. And I listened to this on audiobook because my English library had it. If you can do it like that, because I believe it's the best format to do so, but I will probably buy the digital format of the book so I can actually have it with me because I adore it. So she's my favorite new author to me. I think this next question is the hardest because it's actually the new crush. A crush that you have on a literary character that is that you have read so far. And I believe I'm going to go with another character of Enchantee by Gita Trellis. And I'm talking about Lazare de Milieu. I'm not sure if it's written like that. He's a young man who believes in revolution and social justice, and is very into politics, and he has a flying balloon and adores our main character called Camille. I think he's very sweet, very, very understanding, and he's very vocal about the politics, and even though he makes mistakes, he tries to give Camille the opportunity to speak up for herself and to learn from her in a way, although he has also secrets to conceal, and I don't know, I think I really like. The next question is your favorite character of the year. I think newest favorite character, and I think I'm going to go with Ezra from the Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I think I'm going to go with him for several reasons. I am a PhD student and he is a PhD student. He is utterly lost on the PhD stuff, which I'm also feel like that. And he loves reading and he loves being in libraries, and he is quite of an introvert, but he loves being around the, selected group of people that he considers friends. And I feel like the majority of his feelings towards books and reading is actually how I feel. So that's why he became my favorite of the year. I think he's very special, and I think he's kind of my new protege, to say. I adore him in a way. The next question is book that made you cry. I have cried a lot this year, so it's quite difficult to pick a book that made me cry. I think I'm going to go with Love Letters to the Dead by Ava de Larra. It's a book that I bought several years ago, but up until now I didn't have the courage to read it. I cried a lot. I saw a lot of themes that I wasn't expecting, but also a lot of themes that I am aware of, and that some of those I have suffered myself. So it's this feeling of being reflected on the character, which made me feel very, very kind of vulnerable and made me cry a lot. It's a difficult book about a girl who at the beginning of the story, she has lost her sister, her biggest sister, and she moves from a school to another school, so she has to you know, she's the new girl in high school, so she at the beginning of the term she has to do this assignment of writing to a famous person that is dead, and she does so, but instead of, you know, giving the assignment to her teacher, she decides to continue doing the letters, and through the letters she reflects on what happened to her sister and in her own life. It's a very difficult book with very, very, very difficult topics that can be very trigger warning at sometimes. And I don't know, I cried a lot, and I adore it, but it was hard and I cried. The next question is book that made you happy. I don't know why, but I don't have books that made me happy this year. I think I normally go with the tragic side of the stories. I think a book that made me happy would be probably Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I listened to this on audiobook format, and well, it wasn't an audiobook, it was a radio dramatization of the book, and it's my refuge book. It's my favorite book, and it has been so since I was a child. So every time I need to be happier or to reconcile with myself, at some point I read Little Women, and I listen to this version in Spanish in a radio kind of dramatization of the book that one of the most important radio stations did a few years back, but you can actually look for it in the archives and you can listen to it, and I adore it. I think it was a great adaptation. The most beautiful book you bought so far this year, or that you received this year? I think, and I'm going to try to show it to you on the photographs, the most beautiful book that I have bought for myself this year is actually a book that I wasn't planning on buying. I went to an exhibition of Benjamin Lacomb's drawings. Benjamin Lacombe is an illustrator whose style I really loved. He did the Hunchback of Notre Dame illustrations for an illustrated version of the classic, and I own it and I like it very much. But I bought the Marie Antoinette letters. He managed to combine several letters of the former Queen of France, very related with the first book in the year, and he managed to explore the life of Marie Antoinette using his drawings, and I think it's a very, very beautiful book, and it has a very good quality, and I think it's the most beautiful book so far that I have acquired. The last question of the tag is actually, what book do you need to read before the end of the year? And I have the book right there haunting me, but I want to finish reading The Odyssey by Homer because I've been trying to read it for years, and I want to finish a project that is related to the Odyssey in a way. But I need to finish the Odyssey to be able to work on my project, and it's hard, and it's in verse, and it's actually in former kind of in Spanish because I got the Spanish copy, but it's very hard to read, and I've been trying to actually read it since May, and I haven't reached half of it yet, but here we are trying to finish it, so I hope to finish it before the end of the year. Having said that, this is the end of the tag. I don't have anyone to tag to this, but I always like to see and to try to do this tag, even though it's a little bit, you know, a mess. But I love to do this tag to reflect on what I've listened and read and enjoyed. So if you want to do it, please be free to do so. And if you do it, let me know in the comment section down below how I can access your channel so I can watch it. Or maybe if you don't want to do it because you don't have a booktube channel, you can leave me your picks for each question in the comment section down below. Don't worry, I leave the questions down below in the info box so you know which question are you actually answering to. Okay, this is it for today. See you next week. Bye.